Hi, this is Jennifer from CraftSanity, and today I'm popping in to tell you the difference between the two potholder loom sets that we offer. I started off making the looms just like this. So this was the original set right here. I like these because they allow me to weave with strips of fabric. So I like to tear up vintage linens, especially if something has a hole in it or it's just something that's kind of shoddy that's been in the linen closet for a while. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is a potholder made out of a vintage sheet, and this was made on the largest XL loom, and it's pretty thick. These make good like little you can put them as a hot pad on the table. You also can use, on these regular space looms, you can use t-shirt yarn, so you can cut up t-shirts, and I'll do another tutorial showing how to make yarn out of t-shirts. So you can weave with a t-shirt, and I'll just show you kind of an example of what I mean here. And this is the same technique for both the fabric and t-shirt yarn, where you tie it on. And so I just tie it on the loom, and I'm weaving, or I'm just wrapping around, just like this. And then you can change colors anytime you want. You could just knot something else on, or you can make it a solid color if you wanted. But this just kind of gives you a sense of how that goes on. And then you just go around this one and go back and start your weaving. So, and again, I have another tutorial showing you the weaving process. Okay, so this is another way you can weave on the regular space loom. You can take multiple strands of yarn. This is a cotton, just a cotton yarn worsted weight, and this is 4 strands woven together. And as you can see, this is just a little tiny sample that I have, but this shows kind of how that goes together. And it makes a pretty soft little square here. Also, t-shirt loopers. I didn't show you those. I have a video that shows how to make these, and I'm going to probably be making another video soon to show you how to make these. But this is a t-shirt looper. This is cut from just jersey knit and actually a t-shirt. You can also cut it from new yardage of a jersey knit. And this is just allows you to stretch across the loom and use up some of those fabrics you might have around. And this can be a really fun project with the kid. And when you weave with t-shirt loopers, you can they pull in more dramatically because they're stretchy. But it can be really, you can get some fun colors and make some fun potholders. And the cool thing about this is that you don't have to buy commercial loopers. You can make your own, and that's really fun. So how is that different than what we now offer? Well, as you can see, just comparing the two, the sizes of the looms are the same. So if I was to stack them together, they're exactly the same size, the frames. What's different is we've added more pegs to the mix. And when you weave with the Harrisville loopers on this loom, you can do that. You can weave with them on this set, but they pull in pretty small and make pretty small potholders because there's less pegs on each side. So what I did is, I wanted to have a tighter space loom. And so I found that you can use Harrisville loopers on these looms. And I used the Pro size for the XL loom. That's the biggest one. So XL narrow space loom, I use Pro size loopers. And then I use traditional on the smallest loom. And then the middle loom, you can use either traditional or Pro size loopers. Obviously, if you work with a Pro size looper on this middle size loom, it's going to be bigger and will pull in less than if you work with the smallest loopers. So this middle loom, there's some versatility there where you can use either size, but with the XL loom, you need those Pro loopers. So this kind of gives you an example. This was woven with the Pro loopers on the largest loom. So you can kind of see that for yourself there. This one was woven on the middle loom, the middle size loom. And I want to say I used the Pro size loopers there, and I'll know in a second here. And then this is the coaster size. And this is woven on the smallest loom. So as you can see, there's not, in the middle size too, there's not a ton of variation between the two. And in fact, this one actually was the traditional. So when you use traditional loops, both of these are traditional loops. As you can see, the coaster size it's not a big increase in size. So what I would recommend, if you want to get a bigger pot holder that's dramatically bigger than the traditional size, I would go up to those pro size loops. So you can make t-shirt loopers to use on these looms. You definitely can do that. You would just make them a little bit thinner. So you go with something more like this thickness here. And so that's like probably about a little more than a 1/2 inch. And you might go with a little bit thicker for the loom that is wider spaced. But one of the things that I really enjoyed doing on the narrow space loom, and this is actually why I designed it. I wanted to be able to I want to work with bulky yarn and be able to weave squares with bulky yarn. And so this is one strand of bulky yarn, just woven back and forth. And I have some videos and actually instructions as well that come with the looms on how to weave with a continuous strand of fabric. So that's something that I have on a tutorial. It's available for anybody who's interested. And it's just kind of cool, all the different things that you can make. But the biggest difference here is the spacing. So you want to make sure that if you're looking to weave with multiple strands of material and bulkier fabric, you should go with the wider space loom. And if you're looking to use those Harrisville loopers or a single strand of bulky yarn, or just something that's you want to have more times that you're weaving back and forth, you're definitely going to want to go with the narrow spaced looms. So hopefully this sheds some light on the difference, because sometimes people will be like, I don't really know what the difference is. The biggest thing is the space between the pegs. And honestly, I like that I have both sets in my collection, because there are times when I want to work with the vintage fabric and I want to do a nice weaving and have it come out and be pretty sturdy and not super thin. Because the thing is, with fabric that's old, if you cut it too thin, it starts to it doesn't hold up as well. And if you're using this as a hot pad, you definitely want to have it be durable. So this loom is really great for that. And then this loom over here is going to be your best bet for using those loopers that are commercial. So I have this habit of every time I come out with a loom set, I think of, okay, what else can I make? And I came up with a rectangle loom set, which I really like having around as well. These are narrow spaced as well, and there's 2 sizes. So there's a XL and a medium, and the finished sizes of these looms, or the weavings that come off of here, are like so. So this is a situation where if you use pro loopers over here, this is what you end up with. And if you use the traditional size loopers over here, this is the size you get. But this is another size variation. Some people like to have a pot holder that is kind of like you can fold it up and it fits your hand, especially some of us women who have smaller hands. It's kind of nice to not have a giant unwieldy pot holder, like something that's just enough. I'm also working on some projects where I'm making other things out of these pot holders, and that's been kind of fun to experiment with that. So just wanted to mention also that we have the rectangles. I did not make a small size here because when you get smaller than this, it gets tricky to find commercial loops for it. But you can do the continuous weave on both of these as well. And that's the cool thing about continuous weave, is that technique works on every single loom. So anyway, I just want to give a little shout out to the rectangle looms as well. And right now I only offer the rectangle looms in the narrow space variation. So, and that's something that I'm thinking I'm going to stick with that at this point. So narrow spaced is available also in a rectangle shape. So if you have additional questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'd be happy to help you sort it out. And if you have these looms and you've come up with something else that you're weaving that I haven't even thought about, I'd love to hear about it. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy weaving. Happy weaving.